بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Continuing in our reading of the Manzuma and Adab Al-Shar'iyyah Al-Sughra, the minor poem on the legislative etiquette by Imam Ibn Abdul-Qawwi Al-Hanbali rahimahullah. We're on line number 43, where the author, he says, وَإِفْشَاؤُكَ تَسْلِيمُ يُوجِبُ مَحَبَّةً مِنَ النَّاسِ مَعْرُوفًا وَمَجْهُولًا اقْصِدِي. He says, your spreading of the salam to others leads to love among the people. So we're talking about adab of salam, greetings. So you giving salam to people, يوجب محبة, يعني leads to mahabba, love between the people. And intend to give salam to those you know and those who you don't know. So we took this last week from the adab, with etiquette of giving salam. You give salam to the one you know and the one you don't know. So the Shaykh is teaching us, he says, you give salam to the one ma'rufan, the one who you know, wa majhulan, the one you don't know, and you intend to give them the salam. So the greetings, when you say salamu alaikum to someone, it inculcates love between you and them. And we spoke last week the meaning of the salam. And the hadith that he's inciting here, or reciting, hadith Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, لا تدخلوا الجنة حتى تؤمنوا ولا تؤمنوا حتى تحابوا. None of you enter paradise until you love one, until you believe, and you will not believe until you love one another. ألا أولا أدلكم على شيء إذا فعلتموه تحاببتم أفشوا السلام بينكم. Should I not indicate to you something? If you were to do it, you would love one another, spread the salam amongst you. Hadith Sahih Muslim. Here clearly we see that if you give salam to people who you know, you don't know, it brings the love between you and them. And we also take a benefit that afshu salam, to spread it, is an addition above just giving salam. Giving salam, we said last week, the ulama had khilaf, initiating salam is obligatory or is it recommended. But the ulama say afshu salam, ifsha'u salam, to spread it, is up and beyond just when you see each other. It requires continuousness, repetition. I see you now, salam. Later I'll give you salam. I see you again, salam. This is what it means to spread it. The person you know them, assalamu alaikum. You don't know them, assalamu alaikum. All the same. Some of the Sahaba interpreted afshu salam to give salam to everyone and anyone. It's mentioned in Adab Mufrad, Imam al-Bukhari. I believe Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, one of the Sahaba, he held the view, because of this wording, he gives salam to everyone, Christian, Jew, Muslim, because the Rasul said, give salam. Well, as we said before, the better opinion is that the Christians and Jews, we can't initiate. Hadith Anas, we can't do that. But look how they understood salam to everybody. So as a Muslim, at least give salam to a Muslim, if you know them or you don't know them. And what's the hikmah behind giving salam to the one you don't know? It inculcates and creates love between you and them. Okay, it's the best icebreaker. You don't know someone, assalamu alaikum. I'm giving you dua for you, asking Allah to preserve you, to protect you, have barakah. That's it. So we already covered that, but ifsha'u salam is a very important one. And how the salam inculcates love is because Allah was salam. Allah is a salam, pure from any deficiency and blameworthy defects or imperfections. Therefore, from the barakah of Allah's name, when we spread that quality or that practice of salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unites us. Line 44 now, the author, he tells us how to give salam. So line 30, 44 and 45, he's going to teach us the sigha, the wording. قال وتعريفه لفظ السلام مجوز وتنكيره أيضا على النص أحمدي. Line 44, he says giving greetings in definite form is allowed, and giving greetings in indefinite form is also allowed according to Imam Ahmad, يعني according to a nas Ahmadi. So remember, Imam Ibn Abdul Qaadir rahimahullah is a Hanbali. So a lot of his references is in perspective of the Hanabila. So what is he trying to say here? Giving salam in definite or indefinite form. So for the first one, he says, وَتَعْرِيفُهُ, giving an indefinite form. السلام عليكم بألف اللام. According to madhab, جائز عند حنابلة. Also, سلام عليكم was also fine. على نص أحمدي. That's what he's trying to say. And some of us may think, what's the difference? السلام عليكم, السلام عليكم. There's actually a big difference. Not in the giving it, but in certain ahkam, it can make a difference. So what's the correct view then? How do you give salam? Assalamu alaikum or salamu alaikum? Alright, so many of us may think, we just say salam. We don't pay attention to what we're saying. So we have to pay attention. So according to the madhab of Ahmad, it's allowed, both of them. Assalamu alaikum or salamu alaikum. Now, Shaykh Ibn Baz rahimahullah, he was asked the same, giving salam بدون alif lam, no alif lam. So not assalamu alaikum, just salamu alaikum. He says, al-afdal, the best is to say assalamu alaikum. But if someone said salamu alaikum, ما في بأس, there's no harm. So Shaykh Ibn Baz rahimahullah passed the fatwa and others. And when the Shaykh says ala nas Ahmadi, means there's one text or textual report from the students of Ahmad that he allowed it. Now, in the next line, we're going to see why was there any differing about that. He says in the next line, because we'll connect them and we'll explain more. The reason why they differed is because there's a context. When do you give salam like this versus that? He says in line 45, وَقَدْ قِيلَ نَكِّرْهُ وَقِيلَ تَحِيَّةٌ كَالْمَيِّتِ وَالتَّوْدِيعَ عَرِّفْ كَالْمُرْدَدِ. So in line 45, he explains by saying, because some of them said, when you're giving greetings in indefinite form, you give it this way, like the way you give salam to the dead. So how do we give salam to the dead? Anyone knows? Right, do we give salam to the dead people? I'm confused. Do we give salam to dead people? Yeah, salam alaikum ahl diyar. So is it assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum ahl diyar? So here, based on that dua that we know, when you go to the graveyard, some said you do it just like that. The way you give the greetings to the dead, you give to the living. Others said no, it has to do with context. When you're giving salam, when you're leaving, it's different than when you're initiating. Again, all of these discussions, the bottom line is, both are fine, inshallah. But the ulama, they investigated the best way to give salam because they were conscious of the way to do it. They didn't want to give salam in an invalid way or in the not the best of way. So even ourselves, even though we might not have known these kind of discussions, now we see, okay, the best you can do is assalamu alaikum. Take that with you, that's the best. But if someone says salamu alaikum, inshallah, it's no problem. It's no problem that. And we said last week, if someone says salam, is it acceptable to say salam? It's acceptable. Right? Because we said Ibrahim alayhi salam, he said that. Qalu salama. He said salam, they said salama. So this is fine. So the reason why the ulama had this discussion, if you go to the explanations, you would notice that the ulama were discussing this because of the different madhabs they come from. So he's a Hanbali, rahimahullah, and then Imam al-Hajjawi in his explanation brings all the different views of the early Hanabila. We're not going to quote them, but we see the differences. Some said with alif and lam, some said no alif and lam. So we see that there was a earlier discussion. I'll bring you a final quote to help you in this. Imam al-Nawawi, rahimahullah, Kitab al-Adhkar, which we've taken some time ago. Imam al-Nawawi, in the full version of Kitab al-Adhkar, page 356 to 358, he says, no, that the best way to give salam is to say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's the best. And then he goes on to explain the different ways you can do it. And he concludes that saying, Salamu alaikum, without alif and lam, is acceptable. It's acceptable. This is the conclusion of his wording. Imam al-Nawawi, rahimahullah, in his Kitab al-Adhkar. He says, وَلَكِنَ الْأَلِفُ اللَّامُ أَوْلَى. It's more deserving. And of course, he has many other responses regarding replying, initiating, etc. So that's a benefit. And other ulama after him agree to that. That Assalamu alaikum is best, Salamu alaikum is okay. Right, so now next time you give salam, just pay attention to what you're saying. Because now you're wondering, you don't want to be in the less than best. On this same topic, what about then when you're in the salah? Now it becomes a bit more difficult. In the taslim, fi salah, we know when you're finishing salah, giving the taslim. How important is the taslim in salah? Who can tell us? When we're giving taslim in the salah, What status is it in the salah? Saying Assalamu alaikum in the salah. It's a rukn, it's a wajib, it's mustahab, makruh, what is it? Huh? Good. So taslim makes prohibited what you could do outside of salah, food, drink, etc. But what's the status of it? Fi salah. Huh? Rukn, it's a pillar. Right? Ikhwan, it's a pillar. So if you pray salah, you got up without saying salam, the salah counts? No, right? You have to go back to finish it. So it's a rukn. Now the ulama understanding this, they extended the discussion to, you pray salah, you said Salamu alaykum wa rahmatullah. Instead of Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah. Does your salah count? If you look at the books of fiqh, they say اتفقت المالكية والشافعية وحنابلة that it's a rukn. All three madhab out of four said if you say Salamu alaykum, salah doesn't count. All 3 out of 4 madhabs. On the Hanafi said it's okay. Which means, imagine you're praying salah, you just say Salamu alaykum. They said you have to say Assalamu alaykum. And the reason why I mentioned this is it's so interesting that we went from giving greetings to now to salah. So now another thing, when some people give salah, they don't know what they're saying. Right? We just said, right? Now look, they said if you said Salamu alaykum wrong, because the correct wording is Assalamu alaykum. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us this, and then they bring some, right, the linguistical part here. We said that this is how we learned it, this is what comes in the salah. But other ulama said, no, this is not correct. Right? Because I believe most of us, when we say taslim, as long as it counts as taslim, right? So the scholars said that's not correct. The correct opinion is with the ahnaf here. Whatever you said, if it counts as a salam, as a greeting, inshallah it counts in the salah. So if you said Assalamu alaikum in the salah, that's the best. But if you're the person who has the habit, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, inshallah salah counts, but better not to do it. Because you don't want to be out of 3 out of 4 madhab said that it doesn't go. But how did the other ulama who said it's okay to say Assalamu alaikum? They said, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Ali, with the brother excited, Rasulullah said that مفتاح الصلاة الطهور, that the key to the prayer is your purification, وتكبيرها تحريم وتحليلها تسليم. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that the key to prayer is purification, and what makes haram, what's halal outside, right? So haram, for example, talking, eating, etc., is a takbir. وتحليلها تسليم. To get out of salah, you need to say taslim. So if you said something that counts as taslim, like we just said, you can say Salamu alaikum, right? It counts. Some of them said, if you said Salamu alaikum, is that a taslim? Yes, so it's okay. But what do we notice now? If you're not careful when you're giving greetings, be more careful in the salah. That's my advice. At least when you're praying salah, if you're the imam or the ma'moon, say Assalamu alaikum when you're finishing. Rahmatullah. Alif al-lam. You can't go wrong. Where the other one, you're in some little bit of gray area. And this is actually interesting to see the ulama, they're worried about these things so much, because they're worried about the validity of the prayer in accordance to the way Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us. And they said the reason why we have to say Assalamu alaikum is because Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray as you see me praying. And we don't know he did other than that. But inshallah, we just mentioned that some ulama don't agree. So it will make our life a little bit easier. But be careful. At least you don't want to be in the gray area. طيب. With that being said, the author, he told us now how to give salam, but he didn't tell us some other things, which I want to add, because he goes to line 46 to isti'idhan. But before we get there, let's finish some points about salam. One benefit from the greetings as well, how do you reply? When someone says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, or Assalamu alaikum, do I say, wa alaikum as-salam, or wa alayka as-salam, or wa alaykum as-salam? How do I respond? The ulama say here between jama', you have a choice. The dhamir, the ending, you can make it plural, singular, depending on the one you're addressing. So you might have noticed some people when they say Salamu alaikum to you, they say wa alayka salam. And you're thinking, why did he say alayka? I said alaykum. And why are they saying alaykum when you're one person? Well, the Arab, when they say, they use the plural to honor you. Right? That's a side type of honor. Assalamu alaikum. It's an honor. Maybe you're one person. If you're in a jama'ah, like a group, it's different. But if you're by yourself, someone said, Assalamu alaikum. It's a type of tashrif. But it's acceptable to say, wa alayka salam. Alayka, with just the singular, because you're addressing one person. Shaykh Uthaymeen Rahimahullah actually discusses in his explanation of Riyadh Salihin, Whoever wants that, they can go under those chapters about salam. And there's a beautiful explanation where he says that's the best way to do it. Change it in accordance to the one who's giving you, who you're addressing, the mukhatib, the one you're addressing. But if you're not wanting to think about that, it's just wa alaykum as-salam is fine, just plural. But if you know something singular, now you know why. One proof they used, Rasulullah, the one who prayed poorly, when he came to him, he said, Salamu alaykum, Rasulullah said, wa alayka as-salam. Alayka, not alaykum. So just a benefit, in case you see some people changing the pronoun. In addition to this, now what about, right, if somebody is giving salam to somebody else, and the person who they're giving salam to is the opposite gender? Can they do that? Mathalan, you're walking, you see a woman, a stranger, or a woman, sister, she's a brother, not mahram. What do? Here the ulama say, the correct way to respond to this, it depends on whether or not is a fitna, whether or not there's fitna.
There's a silver Honda outside on the church area. If it can be removed immediately, please. Barakallah.
Barakallah feek. So, if there's fitna or no fitna, this is what they mention. So imagine two brothers, or one brother, one sister, strangers to one another. Should they give each other salam? The ulama say it's permissible if there's no fitna. If there's fear of fitna, it's not allowed to do it. Now how do you know if there's fitna or no fitna? Some say, well, it depends on the age. Some ulama say, if it's a younger sister and a younger brother, no salam is necessary. If the older is different. That's one opinion. Another opinion is, it's permissible at all times. Because Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he did it. And we're going to get to the hadith. He passed by a group of women, sahabiyat, sitting beside the masjid, and he gave them salam. Other scholars said, no, it goes back to the issue of fitna. This is the more correct view. And Hafiz bin Hajar, he explains this in Fath al-Bari under the chapter of Imam Bukhari about the salam to the genders. So, if you're not sure, just leave it off. There's no harm in that. But for example, someone older like your mother, aunt, obviously you're going to give them salam, or someone like that, and you don't fear fitna, it's okay. It's permissible. And same for the sister, to give salam to older man, right, if there is no fitna. But when in doubt, err on the side of caution. One more thing connected to this, giving salam with the hand, bil ishara. And we mentioned this last week. Some people, when they come to you, you see them giving salam with their hand. Or some people with two hands. And some people, they do other things. What's the hukm on this? First of all, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he actually mentioned hadith, we're not supposed to give greetings with our hand. Like we see the way we do today, we just say just hello to someone with our hand. Hadith Tirmidhi, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لا تشبهوا باليهود والنصارى فإن تسليم اليهود الإشارة بالإصبع وتسليم النصارى بالأكف. Do not imitate the Jews and Christians. For the taslim, the greeting of the Jews is with the finger, and the greeting of the Christians, the greeting of the Jews is with the finger, and the taslim, the greeting of the Christians, is with the palm. So here, this is an interesting hadith, because what does it mean now? Can I not greet someone with my hand? No. What the ulama now explains that when we're giving salam as Muslims, our greetings are not symbols or signage, right? Our greeting is verbal. So if someone sees somebody far away, and you can't raise your voice to them, you can raise your hand to indicate salam and then verbalize it at the same time. Hakada. That's the way we make jama' between what the Rasul taught us, giving salam and then just raising your hand for no reason, or trying to indicate the salam. And the reason why they combine them is that another hadith, Rasul said, don't do this. Right, don't do this. But there's another hadith one day, he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, like I said, مر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في مسجد وعصبة من النساء قعود فألوى بيده بتسليم. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, one day passed by a group of sisters, sahabiyat, beside the door of the masjid, and he waved at them. Hadith Tirmidhi Sahih, he waved at them. So some ulama say that's clear proof. He waved, it's okay. But then some say no, combine the other hadith. We just said you can't do that. So what's the combination? How do you harmonize? Because we know from usul fiqh, if you have two evidences seemingly contradicting one another, seemingly, because there's never contradiction, what's the first thing we do? Jama', harmonization. Not tarjih, jama'. You have to do harmonize. Tarjih is the last step. Alright, Ikhwani, always remember that. First you do jama', you harmonize. If you can't harmonize the text, you look to nasakh, abrogation. If you can't abrogate, then tarjih, preponderance, one over the other. One hadith is correctly understood, and the other one will be misunderstood maybe differently to give a stronger view. So some people go to the tarjih. If you can do jama', no tarjih. So usul al-fiqh is important. The ulama teach us these principles so that we don't get caught off guard. So some group of scholars said, no problem, just raise your hand. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did it. The other group of scholars said, true, but there's another hadith that said, don't do it. So the question is, if you have to give salam to someone far away, raise your hand and say, Assalamu alaikum. That's the solution. And if they can't hear you, at least you did it and he saw your hand. But just raising your hand without it is not sufficient. And Imam Nawawi, rahimahullah, he mentioned this hadith and others, and he said, this is how you do it. Imam Nawawi says, Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, he quotes his Fath al-Bari, جَمَعْ بَيْنَ اللَّفْظِ وَالْإِشَارَةِ. You combine between pointing and verbalizing. What is the taslim of the Yahud and Nasara anyways? So some scholars say the Christians was the hand and the Jews it was the finger. Another version says the Jews used their head. فَإِنَّ تَسْلِيمُهُمْ بِالرُّؤُوسِ. Nowadays people do this, see somebody like that. No, it's not haram. If you say Assalamu alaikum with it counts. But the point is, if we just see somebody doing this, that's not a salam, we know. How about if someone is deaf? How do you give salam to a deaf person? He can't hear you, so what do we do? Exactly. Say salam, you rave. No problem. The person who's far, the one who's deaf, Ibn Hajar says the one who's, you're busy, for example, let's say you're doing something, like salah, you're praying. All those you can sign. But the deaf person, you sign and you say salam with yourself, even though he can't hear you, you still do it. And so this solves the problem. So it's not prohibited by its in and of itself to raise the hand. What's prohibited, as we said, without doing the actual action. Because remember, some people maybe nowadays are just pointing at people and they're forgetting, I need to say Assalamu alaikum to you. I need to tell you that. طيب, inshallah. And there's more ahkam on salam, but this is sufficient for us because the Shaykh, the Imam Ibn Abdul Qawwi, he didn't go more than that, so we will move where he moves. But if you want more, go back to the books of fiqh and adab. And I believe our teacher, Al-Fajr, he has a book on this. And our ulama have written about etiquette of salam. Study it, because it helps you to learn more about how to deal with these situations. Line 46 now, the author is going to move to the next chapter, next sub-chapter, etiquette to do with seeking permission to enter. قال مؤلف والسنة الاستئذانه لدخوله على غيره من أقربين وبعد. He says, line 46, that it's sunnah to seek permission in order to enter upon others from your relatives or those who are strangers. So now, as Muslims, if we want to enter the space, the house, the private area of somebody other than ours, our own, we have to seek permission. Okay, Islam has come to teach us to seek permission before entering. And the hikmah behind seeking permission is so you don't enter upon someone and you see what you're not supposed to see, private matters, or you come onto someone suddenly and you startle them and you see them in something either haram or less than befitting. And Islam, privacy is so important. So if someone walks into people's rooms, or even like right now, in public space, you go to the office, you have to knock if someone's inside. It's not mine, unless I'm owner of the office, right? Because it's not my space. Because am I going there and I see something I'm not supposed to see? Same thing at home. In your own home, you don't have to seek permission to enter your own home. But into other people's rooms, you should seek permission if you know that, for example, there's women in there, like your sister or your mother, or others, like your brothers, and you don't want to enter upon them and find what you shouldn't see. Understandably, the author said relatives, because they're not near to you. Whereas in your own home, you can enter rooms generally. But even then, it's better to knock. It's a good etiquette in general. Even though you may say it's not a must in the sense, but if obviously you have to be careful. Because the ulama say even husband and wife, they should not enter upon each other like that. And we're going to get to that later. So the hikmah is to protect your eyes from seeing that which you're not supposed to see. And that's why one hadith Rasulullah saw a man spying into the crack of the door into his house, and he almost poked his eye out with the end of the comb, iron comb. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam showed him that isti'dan has only been legislated min ajl basar, due to the eyesight. So why did he do that? To show him that this is how serious it is. You can't be poking your head through people's houses. Right? And of course, as Muslims, we know this, but privacy, a lot of times you might notice seeking permission is something which people, they don't do. Now, what's the dalil for seeking permission to enter? Surah An-Nur, ayah 27. Chapter 24, verse 27. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَدْخُلُوا بُيُوتًا غَيْرَ بُيُوتِكُمْ حَتَّى تَسْتَأْنِسُوا وَتُسَلِّمُوا عَلَى أَهْلِهَا. O you who believe, do not enter homes that are other than yours. And that's the point. غَيْرَ بُيُوتِكُمْ. So if it's your house, you can enter without permission. You see benefit? غَيْرَ بُيُوتِكُمْ. It's not your home. حَتَّى تَسْتَأْنِسُوا. تَسْتَأْنِسُوا means seeking permission. وَتُسَلِّمُوا عَلَى أَهْلِهَا. And giving salam as well. So we have a combination. How do you seek permission to enter? You give salam and you seek permission to enter. Hadith, Sahih Abi Dawood. There was a Sahabi from, his name he's from Bani Amir. He said Rasulullah was inside the home and I entered and I didn't seek permission. So Nabi ﷺ said, "Ukhruj ila hada fa'allimhu isti'dan." Go outside to the servant, teach this man how to, he told the servant, go outside, teach him how to give salam. How to make isti'dan, how to seek permission. So he said, tell him, فَقُلْ لَهُ, tell him to say, Assalamu alaykum adkhul. Assalamu alaykum, can I enter please? Or may I enter? That's how you seek permission. Allah says, حَتَّى تَسْتَأْنِسُوا, you seek permission, but تُسَلِّمُوا. تُسَلِّمُوا comes first. So for example, you come to somebody's house, or someone is in a, let's say, a curtain, has a screen, you want to enter, you stand outside, you say, Assalamu alaikum, can I enter please? And the person gives you yes or no, then you have the choice to get in. If they say no, you can't. If they say yes, you come in. And this is the beauty of Islam. Because if people just start going into people's spaces without asking permission, sooner or later they're going to be kicked out of those places. Right? Let alone the haram that may come from that. For example, you enter someone's home and there's women everywhere. Right? There's maharim are there, you just walked in. Here, line 47, the author now tells us the way to do it. He says, ثَلَاثًا وَمَكْرُوهٌ دُخُولٌ لِهَاجِمٍ or لِهَاجِمِ وَلَا سِيَّمَا مَنْ سَفْرَةٍ وَتَبَعُّدٍ. He says, in its sunnah to seek permission 3 times, and it's disliked to enter suddenly, especially when returning from a travel and being far away. So now we have etiquette to do with a stranger and then your own self. So when you go to someone's house, you want to enter, 3 times you can knock. Or 3 times you seek permission outside. No response, what do? You have to leave. As the Quran tells us, 3 times you don't answer, you go. That's better for us, pure for us. And the ulama had khilaf then. Can I do 4, 5, 6 times? I don't know if they heard me. Right? For example, just keep going and say, I don't know if they heard. If somebody's showering, you go 3, 4, 5 times, they think it's the police now. Right? 3 times is a good measure. Why? After that, either they didn't hear you, or they're mashghool, or they don't want you to come. Right? You have to get the lesson. You keep going. When they open it, they're going to be very upset. And this is exactly the problem. You want the person to let you in, you also have to come with leniency. Ziyada, how do you knock the door? Lightly or hard? Right? Some people, they don't know. They don't know how to do it. They're knocking the door like they have a warrant. You're not allowed to knock the door like that. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Sahaba used to knock the door with their fingers. Hadith Abu Dawood, Sahih al-Mufrad, with their fingers. Ihtiram and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He's a prophet, right? If he's your close friend or respected person, you're not going to knock you shouldn't knock to anyone like that. But some people, you notice, they're just knocking, or they're ringing the doorbell very much, and there's no adab. Most likely you won't enter. That's the first thing you'll get, the first uqubah. They won't open the door for you. And if they do, they will tell you to get lost. Right? Because the way you did it. Especially because if there's women and children in there, and you're disturbing them. That's also, and if someone's praying too, that's a benefit, because maybe you're praying. And alhamdulillah, today time is easy. You can text someone beforehand to let them know, and if it's sudden, you do the sunnah 3 times. Ibn Qayyim in Zad Ma'adi, he argued against the 3, beyond 3. So some scholars said 3 and above is okay if he didn't hear you. Ibn Qayyim said no. Nothing in the sunnah says that. Zad Ma'adi says 3 and that's it. If it doesn't work, go. And this is more correct. Added to this, calling somebody. Is it qiyas between knocking the door and your phone calls? Can I make an analogy? Yes. Shaykh Bakr Zayd, he has a book every Muslim should read. Adab al-Hatif. It's in English. The etiquette of the cell phone. When you read the book, you notice most of us were doing wrong things. And one of the things he mentions is calling somebody more than 3 times. And he makes qiyas with this, and it's correct. Seeking permission is the same as calling somebody to talk to them. He said after 3 calls, they don't pick up, that's it. Gotta wait. Some of us, maybe we notice, we call people 4 or 5 times. The only time we do that is a darura, right? And it's emergency. But if you call someone like that normally, what's going to happen? Even if he's your closest friend. He will not pick up the rest of the day, right? After that. 3 times more, you just keep calling me. And if you're praying salah and your phone is going off, sometimes you wonder, when people are praying, someone keeps calling, who do you owe money? Who's looking for you? Right? What's going on? And a lot of Muslims, they don't know this. Not allowed. He actually adds a lot of other benefits to that book. Read it. Ikhwan, it's online, PDF free. Very good book. Because the Shaykh, he mentions stuff like added to that. For example, when you're calling somebody and you got to make sure you check the phone number beforehand. You don't call random people. He mentioned that, Shaykh. You're just calling random people by accident. You double check the phone number. He also talks about calling late at night and other things like this. It's a very, very good book. And helpful because it also helps us to build good habits as Muslims. Right? Maybe we may notice that we do things the wrong way. Islam teaches us to do it the right way. Then 3, that's it. And it says it's dislike to enter suddenly. And we know why. Because if you enter suddenly, you're going to see what you're not supposed to see. Even your own family. And he mentions one of the reasons why. If you're coming back from a safar, a travel, وَتَبَعُّدِي, and from far distance. So if you're in the house, for example, you're in your own home, you went for a safar, day, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, a long time. You don't come home at night time. The hadith, Sahih Muslim, you're not allowed to come home at night without forewarning the family. All right, it's very important. Hadith Sahihain, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed also to enter suddenly. You have to let them know beforehand you're coming, or you come in daytime when everyone's ready, or they would most likely anticipate someone coming. If you come at nighttime, the hadith says you may find your wife and she's not in the best of state, physically, in terms of appearance. So in the sunnah, if you go far distance, not short one, like if you're within the city, you don't have to. But if you're gone for a while, the sunnah is you don't come at night. One hadith mentioned, Rasul said, no one should come to their family at night time. 2 Sahabi didn't listen. They went at night and they found another man in their house. And Umar said, this is a punishment for disobeying Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They found another man in their own house. A'udhu billah. Because they didn't listen. Rasul said, no one should leave. No one should go at night. They still went. A lot of times, this is one of the benefits we took from the week before. Why are you not allowed to come at night? It also protects tajassus, spying, wa tahassus, wa su' dhan of your own family. Because maybe you come home at night and the house is all over the place. And you think, look, she doesn't do anything. When I'm not there, this is what happens. You shouldn't have come at night. You're the one that's mistaken. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, hadith Sahih Ibn Khuzaymah, he mentions, a ziyada which is authentic, Shaykh Al-Albani authenticates, the only time you can come at night, if you let them know beforehand. You send a messenger or someone to let them know, I'm coming. Today, text message. That's how you do it. You're coming home at night time, you let them know. If you let them know, it's okay then. Or you're coming there in the airport, you tell her, I'm coming, your wife or your kids or family, then let them know. That's how you do it. That's deen, ikhwan, deen. It's a hadith sahih, that's how you do it. You don't just come as a surprise. And some people want to come with the kuffar, a surprise one. You're going to surprise yourself, ikhwan. You're going to find something you don't want to see. And this is what's interesting, because where we get these adab from nowadays. We don't look to the deen, we may look to the culture. You have to differentiate. Islam, everything has a hikmah. And this is actually interesting because you wouldn't think our deen would take that into consideration. It's in the ahadith sahihah. This is Islam, ikhwan. Everything we need in life is there. So very important to pay attention to the safar, travel. But if you're within the city, you don't have to. You don't have to, because you're just going to come back soon. Very, very important. These things have to be taken into consideration. I'll add a ziyada to this, but first I'll mention the next line, and then we'll add the benefit. Now that we know how to seek permission, the author in line 48 to 49, he's going to tell us how we come to someone's house. He says, وَوَقَفْتُهُ تِلْقَاءَ بَابٍ وَكَوَّةٍ فَإِنْ لَمْ يُجِبْ يَمْضِي وَإِنْ يَخْفَى يَزْدَدِي. So here the author says, and it's disliked to face towards the door or a hole in a fence or a screen. And if the person in the house, does not respond to you, then go. And if you fear they didn't hear you, they can increase. So we mentioned now, the scholar Ibn Abdul-Qawwi, he holds the view, as some of the scholars, you can go above 3 knocks or 3 seeking permission. But we said that's not the correct opinion. 3 and that's it. But how do you face the door? Islam says you don't face directly. Face to the left or the right. I have to teach yourself that. You go to someone's house, you're looking left or you're looking right. You're not looking straight. Because you open the door and you're looking behind. You see everything. And likewise, you're not allowed to peek through the cracks of the door. Or nowadays the keyhole. You're not looking through the keyhole. They're supposed to look at you, not look at them. Right? So some people, you see them, they don't have adab even in front of the door. And if anyone you see them doing this, you don't want to open the door for them. Because what else are they going to do? If they can't even have safety from the house. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said he almost poked the eye out of one man who was doing that. So the ulama said the reason why this is deen is that we don't see when we're not supposed to see. For example, somebody opens the door, we're facing the other way, and you seek permission, and he says, sure, come in. And whatever is behind you, you're not allowed to see unless they lead you in, right? Come inside. But if you open the door, you're already seeing what's not there. You may start getting bad thoughts about the person or see what you're not supposed to see. And now I mentioned the hadith, we posted this on Torah and Da'wah before, but it's good to be reminded. كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أتى باب قوم لم يستقبل الباب من تلقاء وجهه. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if he ever went to a door of someone, he never faced it directly. ولكن من ركنه أيمن أو أيسر. He would stand to the right of the right side, right corner or left corner, and he would say, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. This is Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he's teaching us and he does it himself, alayhi sallam. That's how beautiful manners he has. And the reason why the ulama say he does this is that with the door or the curtain or screen, facing them or facing the door will expose someone to that which is behind it, behind the veil or behind the door. And so this is the sunnah too, to face one way or the other. So next time you go into someone's house, even your own relatives, just stand at the door, face the left or right. Or stand on one side of the door or the other side. And the Shaykh the Muslim Abbad, he said, this is from the beautiful manners and honorable characteristics that a person not facing the door when desiring to enter someone else's house, because facing the door will make a person see inside the house. However, if he faces to the right or left, he'll be far away from seeing that which he's not supposed to see. Because maybe the women are passing, or the children are going upstairs, or whatever it is. Or somebody has something and they don't want you seeing it. All right? For example, when you go to people's houses, an additional benefit. Just as you're not supposed to be peeking inside, when you're in the house, you're not supposed to be looking everywhere either. This is a bad quality as well. You're in someone else's house and you're just looking around everywhere, and amazed what they have. It's not allowed. You just focus on the majlis where you're sitting. You're not supposed to be checking people's wealth or qualities. One day, Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu invited someone over, and then they saw that one of his servants was carrying a golden bowl. Well, it's a lot of money. I think it's sound like, what are these people? Just looking everywhere. And same thing, Sahaba didn't permit that. It's not adab. When you sit down somewhere, just sit, face the majlis, don't look around. And sometimes you may get su'udhan, right? MashaAllah, the brother has so much money. Or you may think to yourself, brother is not in a good state. You don't know what's going on. It's not your business. So this is a beautiful etiquette we should apply in our lives. When you go to the doors, stay to the left and the right, and don't face directly. All of this shows respect. All of it shows that somebody is cultured and has etiquette, but also respects your privacy. Nowadays, somebody asked a good question, which is, nowadays we don't have curtains and screens, we have doors. So when I go to someone's door and knock the door, or I ring a doorbell, right, what's the hukm of ringing a doorbell? Anyone knows? Anyone have khilaf on that, ringing the doorbell? Anyone read on that before? Can you ring the doorbell or not? Because bells in Islam, there's the issues, right? There's a kalam, long discussion about this, but inshallah there's no harm in it. Inshallah. Maybe another time we'll read about it. But you go and you press the doorbell or you knock the door. When the person opens it, do I have to say, Assalamu alaikum, can I enter? Or do I just say Assalamu alaikum and open the door means enter? It's a good question, right? Because nowadays I don't think anyone does that, right? When the brother opens the door for you, like not just open like this, open like let you in. You think, okay, I'm in. But none of us usually say, can I enter? Because he's telling you, come in. Here the ulama say, in Surah An-Nur, when Allah mentioned that you can't come in until you seek permission, that was a time period where there was no doors. It was with screens and veils. Imam Ibn Qayyim, go to Mukhtasar Zad al-Ma'ad. So Zad al-Ma'ad Ibn Qayyim, big book about the Sunnah and Hadi and the guidance of Rasulullah etc. It's summarized by Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. It's online. Ibn Qayyim concludes that today's time, his time, our extension, with the doors in place, when the door opens, that's isti'adhan for you. You just say, Salaamu Alaikum, he opens the door, come in, that's it. You don't have to say anything else. He says the correct opinion is that the ruling is dependent on the existence of a cause, which was indicated in the verse. Because the end of Surah Nur, Allah says, you can't enter until you seek permission. But nowadays we never do that, right? No one does this. So he says, today, if something takes its place, like seeking permission, such as opening a door, then opening is evidence of entering. And lifting a screen is also the same. So if someone opens the door, all you have to say, Salaamu Alaikum, and if they say come in, that means you sought permission. It's okay. Well, so nobody's sinful in that. But you have to say salam still. This is a helpful benefit because most of the time in the Quran it says one thing and most of us don't do it. So that's what the ulama, they investigated. Right? Because in the past it was just only screens. So they need to say this. But today you knock someone's door. When he opens it, it's sufficient for you. You say Salaamu Alaikum when you enter. Line 49, the author now, he adds an etiquette as to enter your own home. He says, وَتَحْرِيكٌ عَلَيْهِ وَإِظْهَارُ حِسِّهِ لِدَخْلَتِهِ حَتَّى لِمَنْزِلِهِ إِشْهَدِي. He says then, it is recommended to shake one's shoes and make a low, soft noise when entering your own home, so bear witness to that. That's the sunnah, or etiquette, to do at your own house. If you're head of the household, you come into your house, your wife, your kids are in there, we said you're not supposed to enter suddenly. So an etiquette that's lost nowadays is that before you enter, the person makes some kind of noise to let them know that the husband's home, or father's home, or your home. You don't just open the door and the same thing, because it could be that, right? Your wife has someone over and just open the door and astaghfirullah, you're not supposed to see that person. So the ulama, they mention a benefit on top of that. Your own house, you don't need to seek permission, right? For your own house, you don't seek permission. But to let the people in the house know you're here, you make some kind of noise. So Sahaba and Salaf, what they do, they would tap their shoes, their sandals at the door to let them know he's coming in. Or Ibn Mas'ud, he would clear his voice. So the wife and the kids know father's home. Now that's how you let them know you're here, right? You come to your back home, they have to know you're here. Especially when there could be a guest there you don't know. Maybe the neighbor came over, and you just open the door, and you didn't tell anybody. So just to let them know that I'm here. And it's actually very interesting, because this is probably lost practice. Hadith, Ibn Majah, hadith number 3530, Sahih Ibn Majah, 3530. Zaynab, the wife of Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, said, وكان عبد الله يعني ابن مسعود إذا دخل تنحنح وصوت فدخل يوما. If Ibn Mas'ud wanted to enter his own home, he would clear his voice and make a soft noise before entering. Pay attention. This is etiquette mahjuran, absolutely lost. Shaykh Albani, he says in his tape Mutafarriqat, tape 282, commenting on this hadith. It's a beautiful hadith, a long hadith. It's a very beautiful hadith, but that part we'll just take. He says, Shaykh Albani, he mentions this point, he says, this adab, فهذا أدب من آداب إسلامية متروكة مهجورة. This is an Islamic etiquette absolutely lost, forgotten, that this noble Sahabi would do. And the Shaykh explained that he would do this so the people in the house would know that he's here. Because in that case, there was an old woman who was visiting his wife. So Ibn Mas'ud would do that, so the old woman, when she heard, imagine his wife was sitting with the old woman, when Abdullah came in, the old woman hid herself away. They were, of course, not wearing hijabs, she put on the hijab, and then Ibn Mas'ud walked in and sat next to his wife. You see, sometimes we don't think, what if your wife had a neighbor over? Sometimes we think, well, no one came to my house. You never know. So in today's time, it's very good. Whether you use the keys or whatever you have with you, or you make some kind of noise before entering. This is a beautiful etiquette. Islam, like we said, you can't even have tahassus in your own family. Like we said, you walk in suddenly, and let's say you're walking and there's a man there. I think, a'udhu billah, who's this? And you find out it's a delivery man, the FedEx. He came in, your wife wanted to get the gift, he says, astaghfirullah azim, who's this guy here? So shaitan is a haris, akhwan. Sometimes you think, how you open the door? What if it was something you ordered? You ordered it, what do you mean? You're the one who ordered it, why are you getting upset? And some of us, whatever things like this, we're out of it. Or, it could be the neighbor. And you don't know. Sometimes we said, the neighbor came over to help your wife with something, and then you came in suddenly after salah. So it's a helpful thing to do. This is an etiquette we should bring back, ikhwani. It's a helpful thing. Sunnah, like Shaykh Nasir said, is forgotten, absolutely. And Imam Ahmad would do the same thing, when he based on this narration, because Imam Ahmad was Sahib Sunnah. Whenever he would go home, he would clear his voice before he enters, so everyone knows he's home. Right? So this is something we should bring back into our own homes. And it also teaches us an etiquette to always think the best of our household members. Right? We want to conclude with this point, that think best of our household members. Whoever is at home, we don't think bad about them. We also give them benefit of doubt by not doing something which put them in a bad position. So for example, if we're the ones suddenly entering among people, and we're the one not seeking permission when we go to other people's houses, or we're the ones who are not doing these etiquette, we are the ones causing the problems. Because we're not giving people the benefit of doubt. At the same time, nobody wants to see something they're not pleased with. So for example, you would much rather come home and things are clean than to find things are not clean. So you give yourself that chance. Also, we take a benefit from this as Muslims, and the Shaykh didn't mention it, but the Shurrah, the explainers, mentioned it, seeking permission on your way out. So another sunnah that's also forgotten, you seek permission on the way out when you want to leave a sitting or a gathering. So you go to somebody's house for invitation, and now you're done, what do? Most people will just say, okay, I have to go now, and get up and go. It's not your house, you can't just get up and go. So the ulama have khilaf there. Some of them say that you don't have to seek permission, and they bring some riwayat and some chapter title, headings from Imam Bukhari. But Shaykh Al-Albani says a hadith sahih, he brings a hadith, authentic. And he says the lost practice, even in the Arab world. The Rasul said that from the etiquette of the Muslim, whenever they come to seek permission and when they're getting up to leave. So you ask the host, can I please leave now, I have to go, if that's okay with you. However you want to seek permission. Why do you want to seek permission to leave? For example, sister went over to sister's house, brother went to brother's house. You want to leave, why do you want to seek permission? It's not, I'm not bounded by them, or am I? Right? Why do you have to seek permission? What's the benefit? Well, what if you invited you to have something they're going to bring you? Dessert didn't come, you have to leave. They say, wait, I have something for you. Right? So they're the ones in control of the invitations. You got to give them that benefit of that because they toiled for you to cook and provide or whatever they gathered. At the same time, it also allows the person not to be the person who suddenly just gets up and leaves. He gives the person the right. It's not your house, it's their majlis. So that's the etiquette we also should do as well. Before you leave, seek permission to go and you go. And there's a hadith, so the hadith takes precedence. Do you have to do it? That's a good question. We might say that maybe you don't have to do it as a must, but it's very good to do it. Very good to do it. And this is something we should try our best to do when we go to invitations, to let the person know when you're leaving the host, I have to go. And you apologize if you have to go early, whatever it may be. And I'm saying all this because, again, in Islam, all these etiquettes combined, they bring together the hearts, and also they keep the peace. Whereas, if you miss any of this etiquette, you can produce hostility and enmity. Small things, they go far away. For example, we said, you miss giving salam to somebody, or somebody came together and then you gave salam and then next you didn't see salam on the way out, you disappeared, and maybe that person was waiting for you. Or you came home suddenly and you're the one who made the problem. And so from this we take a benefit. Next week, inshallah, we'll finish this section where also he finishes more discussion about seeking permission and also the etiquette of liqa, meeting people. But by extension, the ulama also carry this to seeking permission in the majlis of ilm. And that's why many brothers, when they leave, they signal to the teacher to leave, because this is the adab the ulama they mentioned in the books of adab. When the student wants to get up, they let the teacher know, a signal that they have to leave, and the teacher gives them permission. Otherwise, they can't leave. And this is an etiquette that the ulama in the past, the salaf would do in the imma, and it be carried on. So it's a good etiquette. When you're in the majlis, you have to go to the washroom, you have to go home, you let the teacher know by signal that I have to leave, and they let you. Because some of the teacher might not let you. If it's a very strict teacher, say, no, you sit down. Right? And some shaykh are strict like that, they won't let you go. Right? So you want to go and sit down. And sometimes you notice that. Sometimes you notice in the halaqah, the shaykh, he wants everyone sitting and trying to teach them adab too. Like maybe you have to go, but I'm going to say something you need to hear first. So etc. So this is a benefit as well, that when we're in these gatherings, learn to seek permission. It doesn't harm anybody, and the good it does is much. And so inshallah we'll end with this much. Line 49, we finished. Inshallah we'll continue. And I want to mention one more thing which is connected to our job is to try our best to apply these into our lives. As Muslims, one way to really, really improve, take all these benefits and put it into your life. Practice it. You will see, number one, barakah in your life, and you'll also notice that people around you will also appreciate these qualities. Islam has come to honor us and lift us. And one of the most important things, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah praised him. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Verily, O you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon a high moral character. How was that high moral character? These are the examples we noticed. If you take all the different aspects of his life and see how the highest level he does, no wonder people were drawn to him in the deen. And so if we just do these small things, again, whatever you know, you do. If you learn, you practice. You start to notice people around you will also start to appreciate, but also be intrigued by your manners, and they want to become like that as well. But if we lack in these things, it has a harmful effect, because bad manners or lack of manners really taints someone's religion. Now Ibn Qayyim says, rahimahullah, that the person who has better adab than you has better religion than you. Summary of what he said, better religion than you. So let's put emphasis on these. And like we said, adab is very different than akhlaq. In the adab is the etiquette of doing things, where akhlaq is the things that you have with you. We forgot to mention this before, but perhaps next week we'll do it, since we've finished the lines about when do we know when adab is a must and when adab is only recommended. Right? I think we forgot to mention that, but we'll do it next time, inshallah ta'ala. And we'll have any questions, inshallah, we'll take it. Yes. Good. If somebody says so-and-so is giving you salam, first thing, you have to give salam back. First of all, if someone tells you to give someone salam on your behalf, you have to do it. Right? Sometimes someone tells you, give salam to so-and-so, and you just forget. And then they're like, I didn't hear from you. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, when Jibreel gave salam to Aisha, Rasul conveyed it. Right? The Rasul conveyed to Aisha, Jibreel is giving you salam. So unless if someone told you to give salam to someone, you have to convey it. Next, you give salam, wa alayhi salam, or wa alayha salam, if it's a woman. For example, your aunt or someone. If it's a brother, wa alayhi salam. Aisha said, wa alayhi salam. May peace be upon him, i.e. Jibreel, because we know the angels, they come in male form, so they use the masculine pronoun. And that's how you do it. So it's a good etiquette. And Ibn Qayyim talks about this too. So if someone next time tells you, try not to forget. It's a good. Right? Any other questions? Yes. Inshallah, we'll put it in the group, the etiquette of the telephone or the cell phone.
What about coming home during daytime? Do you still have to inform?
So this is a good question. If I'm coming home from a travel in the daytime, the hadith says nighttime. So the ulama say if it's not nighttime, you can come in. But the safest thing is the other hadith tell them beforehand. This is the best, to combine it to be safer. Because even in the daytime, maybe, they might be out. Right? For example, preparing for you to come or something. So you don't have to, because the hadith says at night, but the best thing to do is still tell them and give them approximate time when you're coming, so they're ahead of, they know what you're doing. This is the best. But you're right, it's not, the hadith says nighttime, but yeah.
And the other question is about, if you call someone, is it 3 rings or 3 calls, like, when it goes to the voicemail?
So that's a good thing. We'll have to refer back to the book. I don't remember off the top of my head how long each ring, or is it 3 calls? I believe it's 3 times you can call them, or we can double check, inshallah, in the book. But even then, you try to be sensible. So see how long does it have to ring before someone picks up? So you try to be sensible, because again, some of the ulama might not agree to that qiyas, but if it's still, you have to be sensible, right? So if you see it 3-4 times, someone didn't pick up, I think it's good to stop, because the missed call is there, right? They can see it. And if you really need them, you message them, and inshallah they can get your voicemail, whatever. Yeah, yes. It's the same thing with knocking or ringing. You ring 1, you wait, and then 2. So the ulama say you give yourself time too, because you only have 3. So you go all one time, now you have to go. You ring it once, you wait a little bit. Another time, same thing. You knock and you wait. And why are you waiting? For the person maybe is cleaning or preparing. So you don't be hasty. You keep knocking. Some people, like I said, they don't realize somebody could be preparing for you. Just give them a second. Knock, and again, you have to also try your best to make it reasonable, not too hard, and not so soft no one can hear you. Knock properly, or like I said, and really, like you said, if someone's expecting you, alhamdulillah, technology is easy. You let them know, message them, I'm just about here, so they know. This is a lot easier, and it makes our life easier from mishaps. Yes. So this is important. If you enter in your own house, your parents' room, your sister, this etiquette is to enter with permission before entering inside there. And generally, if you're allowed to go in there to get something, you can get something, no one is there. But when they're in there, it's not etiquette to open the door. Because I mentioned your mother there, maybe she's changing. Sister, same thing, it's not befitting. So what you do is that you knock, allow the person a chance. Even your brother, it's not good etiquette just to walk in. Everybody should give them the privacy. This is, even though we say it's in your own house, it's not the same as someone else's, but even with other people's privacy, you have to give them. So this is a good etiquette, always to knock and say, can I just come in real quick? And then say, fine, that's fine. It's really helpful. It doesn't harm anyone, prevents so much of harm. Any other questions? Yes.
Regarding what was said about taking one's shoes with no noise, indicate that you said your salam after the same purpose?
Yeah, so we said that the Salaf would clear their voice, they would shake or would move their shoes. You know, we could say with your keys, for example, you rattle in the keys or open the door slowly, or say Assalamu alaikum, whatever, something to get their attention. And that way they would know that you're here. So if whatever it takes its place, but I noticed that with us we carry all these keys, this could be an example of it. You know, or you're right. But anything like that to let them know that you're here, this is good. And this is etiquette because at the end of the day, it's not a must, but it's still good. Right? So you try your best to do something like that. And this will really help the community as well because like I said, like you allow your family also, if they're anticipating your return, they're inshallah in the best form. Any other questions? Yeah. Inshallah, no problem. Okay, طيب inshallah. Next week we'll go from 9:50. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.